For your fresh tomato vinaigrette, your very first step is to concasse your tomato. This is very similar to what you did in Culinary Basics, which is blanching or parboiling. You're going to take a knife and you are going to put an X through the top, just very lightly, just kind of through the skin. This is going to allow the water to seep in, so then when you take it out of your boiling water, it will be easy to peel off. So as you can see, there's an X, and then you are going to take your lid off and place your tomato in there for about 2 to 3 minutes, and you'll know it's ready to come off because you'll open the lid and you'll see that it's like a little wrinkly, and then you'll be able to peel it off and finish your concasse method. Alright, I just took the tomato out of the boiling water, and as you can see, the skin is starting to peel off, so that's how I knew it was ready. It peels off very nice and easy. It's usually very hot, so I kind of wrap it in a clean rag first, just because it takes some of the heat away. Very easy to peel off. So once you get all the skin peeled off, the next step for the concasse method is to cut it in half, which it should be very, very easy because it's basically like boiled. And the next thing you're doing is you need to take all of the insides out. You don't want any of this. So I'm using a measuring spoon and you're taking all of the seeds out. You do not want to eat any of those seeds. You've got to really dig in there. Get all that stuff out. And then once you have all of the seeds out of your side, you could kind of stick your fingers in there, get them all out. You don't want to eat any of those seeds, that's gross. Then you're going to brunoise. So the next step is just kind of slicing into strips and then cutting into squares. After your tomatoes have been concassed, that means boiled or blanched, and then take out all the insides and removing the seeds, you're going to move on to your next ingredients. You're kind of just throwing everything into a bowl. You're going to take your fresh basil and just give it a rough chop. You don't want big pieces in there. That looks good. Throw it in. And then you're going to take your shallot, which is kind of like a mini onion. You have to peel the edges off. And you're going to mince this. So mincing means you don't want to be biting into big pieces. So things you mince are things that are very strong. So like garlic, onion, you typically mince just because you don't want to bite into a large piece of it. So I'm just going to give it a rough chop and get it as small as I can. And when we come back, you'll see how teeny tiny it is. As you can see, I'm finishing up mincing our shallot. You can smell it. It's very strong, just like an onion. So once it's teeny tiny, you're going to throw it into that mixing bowl with your other ingredients, and then you're going to add your liquids. Your first one is 4 ounces of olive oil. This is what turns it into a vinaigrette, the olive oil and the balsamic. And then you're going to add your balsamic vinegar, which is 1.5 ounces. Take a spoon, mix this up, and then for day 2, you're going to come in and you're going to cook your pasta and add your dressing. This is day 2 for your fresh tomato vinaigrette lab. The first thing you're doing is you're coming in the room and you're getting some water boiled. So as you can see, we open up our pan, we see rapid bubbles, and then we are going to put our 2 cups of pasta in there. The noodles, well, you want them to get al dente. So al dente, it should be a little bit firm, but not too firm. You don't want it to be raw, but you don't want it to be soggy either. So we're going to let those sit in there, and these will sit in there for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then they will be ready. After your noodles have been on here for a few minutes, you kind of test it with a fork, which I already did, and they are nice and al dente. So I'm going to turn off the heat, and then I'm going to walk over to the stove where my strainer or my colander is, and you're just going to dump it out. So there's holes, water goes through, catch your pasta, and then you're going to run cold water over it. You want it to be cool because you're going to serve it immediately with your tomato vinaigrette, and you don't want it to be warm. So after you rinse this off with cold water, your pasta should be easy to handle. You're going to put that into a separate bowl. If you put your sauce in there, it's going to go everywhere because of the holes. So you have it in there, and then you're going to spoon in your tomato vinaigrette. I would add a little bit at a time and then kind of mix it around. Do it to your liking. And this will be graded as a presentation grade, so make sure that you figure out your unique way to present. And that looks about right. Enjoy! So I added all of the sauce in here, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. Everything is evenly coated, so you are ready to eat.